Howdy y'all, Cowboy here, and I want to talk about a video I recently saw pop up on my recommendations. It was called the Meta PvE Build for Season 18 Best Overall Build. It was made by Luckyy10p, and I sort of wanted to talk about it. I saw the build, and it's similar to a build that I run. However, I think there's ways that you can improve it, and I sort of wanted to make a Dear Lucky video. So, further ado, Dear Lucky, I have a build for you. Let's get into it. Okay, something we can both basically agree on is Well of Radiance, Empowering Rift, Burst, Celestial Fire, Fusion Aids, Touch of Flame, Acre Stash. I'm pretty sure it's a no-brainer. You know how to use the exotic armor, and it's not that much of a huge difference. Another thing that we both agree on is using Ember of Wonder and Ember of Eruption. However, where we differ is there are other two. Me personally, I think you're better off using Ember of Ashes with Ember of Char. Now you may be asking why. Here's the thing. So you get more discipline with this. So your current build has you at 80 discipline. It would bring you up to 90. So it allows you to have more grenades if you don't have a rift to get your grenades back up. Because at some point, you may just mess up your combo, you don't have Empowering Rift for a while, and you don't have Fusion Aids, so while you're waiting for either your rift or your grenade to come back up, it's better to have a higher discipline than to have a lower one, I guess, even if we're just talking about a few seconds. That few seconds can save you. And with Ember of Ashes, you apply more Scorch. Now, the grand scheme of things, it might not matter that much. However, let's say you're facing a champion. Celestial Fire with this applies 45, and Fusion Aids apply 60. Therefore, that is 100 Scorch. That means the champion now explodes. It hits the adds around them and applies Scorch to them. You make orbs from killing targets with an orb. All of these work together. There was an artifact model last season which improved this because it just worked on champion stuns. However, you can do the same thing with just a Fusion Aid and Celestial Fire. In fact, let's say you were to put on a helmet mod that were to stun champions. Now, you're stunning the champion, throwing a grenade, you're doing this entire combo. You're basically doing what you did last season, but it's always around. You don't need to have the champion mod because you could just put on Unstoppable Pulse Rifle. Now, let's talk about the BXR you used. I think there's better rolls you can get. Now, let me explain. Went into the helm so we can talk about a BXR roll. I know this is not the roll that I would be using. I'm just still leveling up mine. Let's talk about some weapons you can use. Arbalest, really good for anti-champ content. Izanagi's Burden, just a solid option for great burst damage. With Witherhoard, there are a few drawbacks to it. Multiple people can't use it, so if you're on a raid, and let's say a guy's trying to run the same build, you both can't use it. You could run over to Anarchy, but then you're losing out a lot of damage. So, honestly, I just opt to using Izanagi's just so I can get that burst damage in. Now, let's talk about the BXR. Let me swap off it real quick so I can reshape it. Now, you go with this perk combination. I don't know about all the other perks. Me personally, I would do just bumping that range up. I think that's the best thing you can do for it, really. Just having as much range as possible on it. Alright, so you could go enhanced demo. Don't really need it. It will just improve your demolitionness by 1%, which in a way it reduces your kills needed from 10 to 9 kills to get a grenade back. So adding all it up, it's a 10% benefit, but just on a single kill basis, you're only getting 1% overall. It's not really worth it. However, I like having the golden border around my weapon, and I bet you do as well, so I'm going to invest in that. Use Kill Clip, which is good for lower end content. However, I think there's a way better option for at least the way you like to play, but I think there's a better option for the way I like to play. blunt execution rounds. You can use your melee, you get radiant from your melee, I don't get it from mine, however, you get radiant, you're buffing the damage of this gun even more so with blunt execution rounds because it's sort of like the 1-2 punch of pulse rifles. So that's how I like to look at it. So you turn your regular pulse into a sniper rifle, and this makes it a high impact sniper rifle. However, for passing scorch around still, I think enhanced incandescence is a pretty good option to roll with. Now you may be wondering why I'm inspecting in the range. It's because the BXR has a custom frame that allows better accuracy, stability, and targeting while hip firing. You can basically turn this into a mini SMG at close ranges. Always, that's how I like to use the BXR. That's just me though. Alright, let's talk about mod choice. Me personally, I never used Class C Restoration. I never had a reliance off it. However, you use healing mods, which I think are okay. However, I have a suggestion. What if instead you go healing mods, you were to put on a elemental charge and a protective light. So when you're in higher end content where you gain damage, you have an extra shield for you on top of your 40 resilience. It brings it up to 50 temporarily, so you can get into a position where you can recover. And if you have a high recovery, you're basically out healing the heal that you would get. You would need to get a elemental well, which if you're in higher end content, it's going to be harder to do. Me personally, I think it's the better option to go with something that if you enter a room with something you took in from the previous room, not on a time limit, it's better to have than something that will only last you a few seconds. But if we're doing something like a raid that is on light, you may not even need that, so you could replace this protective light in these resist mods to something like Fonts of Might. So you can combine that to elemental time dilation, so your solar weapons do more damage for a longer period of time. With 3 Fonts of Mights and 1 elemental time dilation, your bonus damage is a 20-second damage increase for all your matching element weapons for that time being, which a lot of encounters don't really go over that time. I think Rolk is one of the few that go over the 30 seconds, and Oryx with multiple bombs is the same way. Gogroth as well, if you're chaining the gaze correctly. And I believe those are, or I guess Templar as well, if you're doing the shield mechanic. So there are a lot of bosses that you can take advantage of this in the game currently, so you might as well use those things. War Priest as well. War Priest is I think a 30 to 40 second damage encounter based on the timing of how you do the swaps.